AutoAudiography, AutoAudiography, AutoAudiography. 3 times in a row, so now I can't be mad at myself when I misspell it. Spell it when I mispronounce it. Today, I'm speaking on one of my favorite albums of all time. I also could probably consider it one of the heaviest albums that... Nope. I think this has some of the heaviest moments of any album I've ever heard. Obviously, heavy is subjective. There's different versions of heaviness. But this album in question is Acacia Strain's Continent. This is a 2 LP, just in one single sleeve, though. It's not gatefold or anything. Lyric sheet has some nice artwork on it, too. But I love this album art. I adore it, actually. I don't know who the artist is. I probably should have looked it up, but I adore this cover art. I adore this album. The big thing for Acacia Strain, for me, I stumbled upon them. Oh, hold on, this is their 4th album. This album came out 2008, which is probably around the time I stumbled upon them. 2008, 2009 is probably when I stumbled upon them. And up until that point, there was a lot of music in my life, but I don't think I ever had a favorite band. If somebody would ask me what's your favorite band, I wouldn't have an answer. I listened to everything. And a lot of the heavy stuff I was listening to, as much as I enjoyed breakdowns, as much as I enjoyed, some chugging, as much as I enjoyed some technical guitars, there wasn't really any band that I separated from the pack. I kind of just listened to the same sound of heaviness. I listened to the same sound of hip hop, of the same everything. I listened to everything just was in its own genre for me. There wasn't a band who I was like, oh yeah, that's my favorite band without a doubt. Acacia Strain changed that for me. When I don't know if I heard this album first or The Dead Walk first. I think it was this one, though. But don't worry. There will be other AutoAudiographies on their other albums. I can't help it. But Continent, it's a tough one, though. I would have to say Continent is my favorite because it is the first one that I went into and just kept going back. I just went in and in and in. At the time, I had an iPod that had something like 40,000 songs on it or something like that. But I found myself just listening to this album on it, which is strange. I always just listened to it on shuffle, and whatever came on, I listened to. But I wanted to hear this. I wanted to get into this, and I did. And I never left. I just stayed in, and every chord change, every tone switch, every scream, every growl, I have it memorized. I know every inch of this album. Upon them becoming my favorite band, I've seen them since that's happened. I've probably seen them 6 or 7 times total, I think. Every time they come around, I try to get out to see them. I didn't see them the past 2 times they got out, though. It's always on a weekday. I have problems getting out on weekdays, but I saw the tour for this album. I saw them tour for the album after this. I saw them tour for the album after that. I think they did 3 tours. Like, I saw 3 different sets, if you will, with this material and material from their album Wormwood. But some of the songs off this album, one of them actually, if you watch my other videos, my I Am the End of the Words, it's actually a play on a song JFC on here, which, I mean, the lyric is I am the end of the world. And I actually played the soundbite of I Am the End of the World of JFC by Acacia Strain at the beginning of those videos until I realized that people probably don't want screaming at them immediately when there's a book review. It made me chuckle. I still have it. I listen to it once in a while, just with seeing the little, words up on the screen, because you could pronounce it words. It sounds like it words. But that has an amazing chanted vocal right during the bridge, if you will, where Vincent Bennett, the lead singer, screams, "I am the end of the world." Then the chanted audience says, "I am the end of the world." It goes back and forth 4 times to a quick drum fill, and then everybody it just goes off, and "I am the end of the world," huge bass drop, and it is one of the most empowering, one of the most vicious times I've ever spent at a show. I would say if what damaged my joints and my body the most in my life is being in mosh pits. I would say that 75 to 80% of that was in Acacia Strain mosh pits, because I went so hard in every pit I've ever been in, but Acacia Strain more so, because every single lyric is just there. It's hard to explain. And I will be the first to say, like most of the things that I like, Acacia Strain is not for everybody. But if you are going to check out anything from this album, I really recommend JFC. Balboa Towers, they played as an encore the third time I saw them. And I never saw that. And that song was never like a superstar. It never stood out to me. It was a good song. I love every song on this. I love the instrumental. I love everything. But it was a good song. It just never seemed to me to be the song that you would encore with. But I'll tell you what, it fucking worked. Some of the first lyrics of that song, and this will just give you a hint of how brutal they are she asked me if I wanted to fuck, so I spit in her face. Blatant disregard for the rules. Verse right after that, she asked me to marry her, so I slit her fucking throat. I told you I want to be alone forever. That anger, that viciousness, and it's not just your run of the mill angry vicious lyrics. There's twists to them that I never saw before them. Some people might think Acacia Strain is just another, toss them in the barrel metalcore band if you wanted to categorize them somewhere. But like other bands with other people, they spoke to me somehow. They spoke to what I wanted to hear between the wild lyrics, the wild, outlandish yet artistic lyrics, along with the brutal, destroying, hammering you down riffs and the crushing drums with the breakdowns and the guttural screams and the anger. I love it. And listening to any Acacia Strain song could do one of two things depending on what I want. It could either calm me down or I could get hyped up. I choose. I don't know if anybody else has that, where if they listen to a certain album, they can either decide to let it hype them up or they can calm them down, because it's that for this album is that for me. And I can't say enough how incredible it was to finally be able to answer the question, who is your favorite band? Even still today, if somebody asks me who's your favorite band, it's the Acacia Strain. They consistently have been putting out good albums. This is their fourth, Wormwood their fifth. They put out one in between there, Death is the Only Mortal, I think it might have been, where it wasn't the best, but I still really enjoyed it. But their last album, Coma Witch, holy shit. That album changed my life. I will talk about that one in another video, but this one's about Continent. There's a song on here called Skynet, where if you want a little backstory, not a little backstory, but a little kind of anecdote with it. Skynet was written as kind of there's a band out called Amir, where they were using a lot of digital samples, and they did sound a lot like Acacia Strain. Don't get me wrong, I still love Amir, but there were days where if you liked Acacia Strain and you said you liked Amir, you couldn't do it. You had to be one or the other. But Amir wrote a song called R2 Deep Throat, aimed at Vincent, the lead singer, and said, next time you see her, ask your girl what my dick tastes like. That was kind of their retort for the song Skynet, where it's basically saying, if you caught your evil twin, why would you keep him alive? Plagiarism is the highest form of flattery. They basically said that Amir was plagiarizing their sound, plagiarizing everything they had. I guess the two lead singers, Vincent Bennett of Acacia Strain and Frankie Palmieri of Amir, actually got in a couple fist fights at one point. There's never been any video evidence, but there's been a lot of reports on it. The two bands have actually toured together though in the recent years, so that's done, which just means people grew up and started acting like adults and just took bullshit out of it. I still like both bands. Acacia Strain still more so. I think they're putting out more. No, I'm not even going to compare them, because that'll kind of bring back some emotions about Amir that don't need to happen. I like Amir, love Acacia Strain. This album is amazing. If you like heavy music, give it a listen. Let me know what you think. If you don't have the ear to understand the screaming, read the lyrics along with it. You're not. I don't. There's people who I've got to try to listen to the bands, and they'd be like, I can't understand them, and I'll say, well, read along with the lyrics then. You don't have to understand them. You'll get the ear the longer you listen. And there's a few people who have done it, and they said, I never thought you could do that. I always was embarrassed to say something. No, enjoy what you want to enjoy. They told me they liked the sound, they just couldn't understand it. Then understand it. You can work your way through it. I don't understand German. I don't know where I'm going with this metaphor. I don't understand German. I guess we'll just go with that. Acacia Strain Continent, please give it a listen. I know I said it in all the other ones, and let me know what you think, but this one most so. I don't like at all how that came out of my mouth. Because this album, I've never gave it a chance to get out of my mind in order to come back and give it a fresh look, because it's always there. I always listen to it. Dr. Doom is one of my favorite songs off. Honestly, I'm gonna run you down all my favorite songs. There's 13 tracks on this. I'll run you down my favorite on this album: Skynet, Seaward, Dr. Doom, Baby Buster, Balboa Towers, JFC, Stay Puffed, Global Warming. So that's 8 out of 13 on here are phenomenal tracks. The rest are very good tracks as well, but those ones are just kind of a little extra for me. But I have to give you 1 or 2 or 3. JFC, Balboa Towers, Dr. Doom, and Skynet. I'll give you 4. Check those out. Check the album out itself. Check out the Acacia Strain. Check out anything they've done. Their first album was iffy. They had 3 guitarists. They didn't have their sound quite down yet. But let me know what you think. This album will forever be a tent post in my life, because it made me have a favorite band. And it also made me, after having a favorite band, I was able to decipher my way to find other individual artists. Like I said, people may just see this, the Acacia Strain is a drop of water in a bucket, but they have an individual sound to me. I hear them differently, maybe. Let me know what you think. I may have said let me know what you think 400 times in this video. But I'm going to go listen to this right now. I'm actually kind of stoked up about talking about this album. I want to go listen to it right now. Acacia Strain Continent means the world to me. Always will. Will never leave the rotation. It'll always be at the handy. This is just black wax. I'm trying to find a colored vinyl. I have all their albums except for the one that wasn't that great, which I'm eventually going to get. I think they have it on pink vinyl. I'm going to get, and I don't have Wormwood yet, or I don't have their first album yet. I don't know if it's on vinyl. I don't have Wormwood yet because I don't want to buy a black vinyl. I want to buy a colored vinyl, but they're hard to find. So working on that. Thank you for watching. Acacia Strain Continent. Let me know what you think. Is that at 100 fucking